Week 11 of the fantasy baseball season. Here's a few prospects I look to watch and possibly stash for this week. The first prospect, Noelvi Marte of the Cincinnati Reds. So we know before the season, Marte, he was suspended for 80 games. PD suspension. So last season, he had a decent year in a limited role in 114 at-bats in the second half of the year. 3 home runs, 15 RBIs, 15 runs scored, 6 stolen bases, a 316 average, and a 366 on base. So he's only a week or two away from coming up to the major leagues, and he's been playing some AAA ball right now is Marte. In his debut, he went 2 for 5 with a double. For 28 prospect on all Major League Baseball. He could steal bases, he's got power, and a good batting average, hitter with speed. And as soon as he comes up, he's going to be starting each and every day for the Cincinnati Red team. That definitely could use a boost. So right now, the 22-year-old, he's going to play third base most likely for the Cincinnati Red team. And this is at least before he comes back from suspension. They're allowing him to play AAA games. In terms of fantasy baseball, I would take a flyer on him and add him to my roster in 12-team leagues or deeper. Available right now in 82% of fantasy leagues. And like I said, he's got tools and power. He could show stolen bases, batting average, runs scored, and on-base percentage. So right now, before Marte comes up in a couple weeks here and gets off to a hot start where he's going to have a starting job right away for the Cincinnati Red team, this is the time to go out there and get him. Next prospect, Jordan Lawlar of the Arizona Diamondbacks. Former first-round pick a few seasons ago for the D-backs. Jordan Lawlar at the shortstop position. We saw him have a cup of coffee late last season, 4 for 31 with the D-backs. But right now in AAA, he's having a great year on the season. 1 home run, 11 RBIs, 8 runs scored, 355 average, 447 on base, and 5 stolen bases. I know Lawlar, he was on the injured list for a little bit, but ever since he's been back, he's been tearing it up on the AAA level for this Arizona Diamondback team. And this team, we know, needs some offense. They need a spark in that lineup a little bit where they've been struggling for the most part this season. And I think Lawlar, they're going to want to give him a few more weeks down there since he just returned from injury and only has 31 at-bats, but already to have 5 stolen bases in the time, 11 RBIs, and a 355 average. It's not going to be much longer, I believe, till Lawlar is up in the major leagues. Another 2 or 3 weeks, I believe. Obviously, shortstop isn't that great a position in fantasy baseball, and I think Lawlar definitely can help fantasy owners. So right now, definitely someone to keep an eye on, and he's available in 91% of fantasy leagues. Next prospect's Noah Schultz of the Chicago White Sox. So for weeks, I was mentioning Drew Thorpe as someone who was going to come up sooner than later, and he made his major league debut on Tuesday. June 11th was Drew Thorpe, and he looked pretty decent. 5 innings in that one. Gave the White Sox a chance to win. And like I said in the other videos, like I'm going to say again, this White Sox team, they're still trotting out there some pitchers that can't get the job done. Mastriani, we've seen him in the rotation. Eric Fetty has been up and down. Chris Flexen, Birdie was in the rotation for a little bit, but Drew Thorpe took his spot. And Noah Schultz, he's been dominating right now for the most part in AAA. I know he's only 20 years old. They might wait another year to bring Noah Schultz up to the major league level as this White Sox team, but there's going to be a fire sale obviously at the trade deadline for Chicago, and they're going to want to see what these kids have, and I think Noah Schultz could be up in the majors within the next few weeks to a month or two. So on the season for Schultz, I know it's been a low workload for the 2022 first round pick for this White Sox team. 0-1 record, 3 ERA, 10 games started, 39 innings pitched, 56 strikeouts, and 0.77 whip. So he's a big left-hander, 6'9", 220. He was a big-time prospect coming out in the MLB draft a couple years ago. So right now, wouldn't be far-fetched in my opinion that he comes up this season's Noah Schultz. Like I said, this White Sox team is out of it. Get some experience under his belt before next season where he could start in the rotation as a full season. And we saw with Drew Thorpe, he came up pretty quick, even though I know he's a few years older than Noah Schultz, and he was a big piece in the Dylan Cease deal. And now I think we're going to see him possibly sooner than later as well if he keeps dominating, and they just got to stretch him out a little bit more is this White Sox team in the minor league. So right now he's available in 99% of fantasy leagues and number 39 prospect in all Major League Baseball, and he was a higher ranked prospect than Drew Thorpe as well coming into the season. Was Noah Schultz. The next prospect, Braxton Ashcraft of the Pittsburgh Pirates. So Ashcraft, he's been playing well of late in the Pirates system, and he could be up sooner than later as well. Big 6'5" right-hander. Now he got moved to AAA on the season, 2-2 record. 10 games started, 3.69 ERA, 53 2/3, 63 Ks, a 1.10 whip. So right now we know this team's dealing with some injuries. Is Pittsburgh in the rotation? Quinn Priester, he just went down with an injury as well. You got Jones, you got Paul Skeens, but I think Ashcraft, he could come up sooner than later. And he's already been in the minor leagues for a long time, drafted in 2018. Here was Ashcraft. So right now I think he could be in the major leagues, 24 years old, in AAA, pitching well, and they could use a back end of the rotation type of starter with Martin Perez banged up as well in this rotation for this Pittsburgh Pirate team, and they're going with the youth movement. So Ashcraft, he's someone that could be on the radar. He's the number 6 prospect in this Pittsburgh Pirate system. Pirates are ready coming into the year, not scared to promote these kids and have them on the roster with Skeens up there and Jones. So Ashcraft available in 99% of fantasy leagues, and it wouldn't be surprising to me if he's in the major leagues in a few weeks. Like I said, they've had a problem filling out with that 5th spot for the most part of the season with injuries, and obviously they're locked in at the top 3 with Mitch Keller, Skeens, and Jones. But right now, he's definitely someone to keep an eye on, Ashcraft, and he's moving up the system quickly. The final prospect I look to watch and possibly stash is Zebby Matthews of the Minnesota Twins. So right now in AA is Matthews. He was drafted in 2022 in the 8th round, but he's a guy moving up the organization pretty quick as Matthews, and it wouldn't be surprising to me if we see him this summer in the major leagues. Available in 99% of fantasy leagues. I know he's a low prospect in the system, number 20. Real change as he's moving up quickly on the year 4-1 record. 1.38 ERA, 9 games started, 52 1/3, and 63 strikeouts. So we've seen a lot of pitching prospects already get called up this season. We saw with Schoenbach. We saw with Hurston Waltrip for the Atlanta Braves, Drew Thorpe, Cade Pavic. He's been up in the major leagues now. So we've seen some guys come up, and these teams, if they want instant impact or a rookie that could come up and help their roster, this is what some of these teams are looking at. And right now, this Minnesota Twin team, for the most part, the beginning of the first 3-4 starters are locked in the rotation, but Bailey Ober's struggling, and Zebby Matthews could bring a spark to this rotation possibly. So he's definitely someone to keep an eye on. Like I said, not a high-rated prospect, not picked high in the MLB draft a couple years ago, but someone that could come up and possibly have an impact for fantasy owners in the Twins, and someone to keep an eye on. And like I said, it wouldn't be surprising if he's up maybe July or August for this Twin team. So that's a few prospects I look to watch and possibly stash for Week 11 of the fantasy baseball season.